and welcome to Climate Check with me, Mary Mwiikisa. Now today I'm coming to you from the Mulungushi International Conference Center right here in Lusaka. Now this is the official venue for the National Adaptation Plan NAP Expo 2025, and of course this is being held under the theme Innovations in the NAP Process. Now Zambia in 2023 delivered its National Adaptation Plan, and this is a blueprint to guide climate action in terms of adaptation in Zambia. Now this conference is being held in Lusaka, Zambia, with over 400 delegates from over 50 countries that are meeting in Zambia to focus on climate action. On the program today, we show you highlights of what happened on the first day of the NAP Expo 2025 right here in Lusaka. Take a look. The National Adaptation Plan NAP Expo 2025 has opened in Lusaka with a call to enhanced focus on climate adaptation for the least developed countries. The expo, whose participants are drawn from member states of the least developed countries expert group, is being held under the theme Innovations in the NAP Process.
The nature of the discussions here at this expo focused on innovation, I think will be a very good launch pad for a new type of action, a scaled up type of action that takes into account that we cannot continue doing more of the same as we move forward. The notion of foresight will come in very strongly in our discussions here. Innovation in how we must look at new and innovative sources of finance, new and innovative ways of planning, new and innovative ways of visioning for the future, and adopting a forward-looking orientation. So at this expo, the international politics of adaptation will give way to what truly matters: implementation, reducing vulnerability, saving lives. The theme of innovation calls on us to harness technology, finance, inclusive governance, community wisdom, all with a view to strengthening resilience driven by a vision of prosperity.
Hosting the NAP Expo here in Lusaka is therefore not only symbolic but also deeply relevant. It allows us to showcase the efforts being made locally and nationally to integrate climate adaptation into our development plans while learning from the global best practices that you, our esteemed delegates, are bringing for us here with you.
Through the UNDP Climate Promise, the UN is also supporting the government in revising the NDC 3.0 with the goal of submitting it ahead of the COP 2030. This aligns with the United Nations commitment to supporting climate change adaptation planning and policy through the National Adaptation Plan, particularly the processes involved in developing and in both developing countries and the LDCs. NAPs are integrated with nationally determined contributions, and they do contribute to the UNDP's climate promise. At their core, NAPs aim to accelerate climate action and progress on the SDGs by mainstreaming climate risk into development planning at local, national, regional, and global levels. Your Excellencies, since the establishment of the NAP approach under the Cancun Adaptation Framework and later reaffirmed in the Paris Agreement, millions have benefited from the NAP interventions supported by the various vertical funds. These include enhanced resilience, improved livelihoods, increased income opportunities, and better access to climate information for disaster preparedness. For example, UNDP is supporting 8 African countries through the Green Climate Fund Readiness Program to translate the NAPs into concrete and transformative climate solutions. In Zambia, the UN-led partnership comprising UNDP, FAO, and WFP is leveraging on the GCF financing to support small-scale farmers through the strengthened climate resilience in agricultural livelihoods in the agroecological regions, famously known as CRALA.
For these plans to be effective, they should be grounded in scientific evidence, inclusive of all stakeholders, aligned with development objectives, and supported by robust systems for monitoring, evaluation, and learning. They also require clear pathways for accessing finance from the financial mechanisms and other funding sources. The EXPO offers an opportunity for us all to explore particular approaches to advanced maps. This includes the use of science and data for informed decision-making, approaches that address systemic risk strategies to mobilize and align finance, and solutions that strengthen inclusive stakeholders' engagements. As remarked, the 10th EXPO, this platform has grown into a vibrant space for dialogue, knowledge exchange, and partnership building among us.
Minister of Green Economy and Environment, Mary Mwiikisa, highlighted the Zambian government's commitment towards climate change adaptation.
According to the World Meteorological Organization, WMO, the past 10 years, that is 2015 to 2024, are the 10 warmest years on record. Additionally, the World Meteorological Organization declared 2024 the warmest year on record and the first calendar year with a global mean temperature of more than 1.5 degrees Celsius. Zambia is still reeling from the 2023-2024 drought, the most inflicting, the worst drought that we have ever experienced in the past 40 years. The destruction caused by the drought affected 84 out of our 116 districts in the country and 9.8 million out of our 20 million people, with 6.6 million needing humanitarian assistance. We are currently revising the national policy on climate change to incorporate emerging issues including green growth. Cognizant of the need to identify our country's climate risks and vulnerabilities, as well as determine and prioritize adaptation actions to protect people, livelihoods, and nature from spiraling climate impacts, in 2023, we developed our National Adaptation Plan. Our National Adaptation Plan identifies 9 climate vulnerable sectors, including water, agriculture, energy, health, infrastructure, fisheries, and wildlife, and prioritizes sector-specific adaptation actions to address the adaptation risks and vulnerabilities. Zambia ratified the Paris Agreement in 2016 and submitted the first and second generation nationally determined contribution, which included an adaptation component in 2016 and 2021, respectively. I'm so humbled, very grateful on behalf of the government of the Republic of Zambia, and indeed on behalf of the President of the Republic of Zambia, His Excellent President Hakainde Hichilema, to have you in Lusaka, but also we are very, very grateful to UNFCCC Secretariat for having accorded us this opportunity to host the NAP Expo for this year 2025. We ask that you may consider us to host many other events in future.
And speaking after the opening ceremony, Director Green Economy and Climate Change at the Ministry of Green Economy and Environment, Ephraim Shitima, gave context of the NAP Expo.
The theme is focusing on innovation in adaptation planning, so there will be innovation measures that will be achieved here, agreed upon. How can we use innovative ways of developing our NAPs, but also mobilizing resources. But one key thing we should look out for is new guidelines. We're going to adopt new guidelines for the preparing and adoption of the NAPs. And we are hoping we can push our colleagues to name these guidelines after Lusaka. We've had so many things named after cities where meetings are held, so we're pushing for that. But these are the guidelines that will be guiding countries on how to develop and implement NAPs. But I think the major focus is on implementation. Can we mobilize resources that will go towards the implementation of our National Adaptation Plan? We've already started mobilizing resources. Late last year, the Honorable Minister submitted an investment plan. It's called an investment plan to the climate investment funds, and there we managed to secure over $36 million. It's in millions, that one. But you are right, we are talking of billions over the period from 2023 to 2035. So we are pushing all sources where we can get the resources. But it's important to put that figure also into context. It's all the resources, not just from the Treasury, but from the development partners, from multilateral financial institutions and all sources up to 2035. So far, we're focusing on ensuring that we are developing bankable project proposals that bring in resources, but we'll continue also asking the partners who can chip in. I think in terms of adaptation, starting with our early warning system, because that's the first point. People need to be aware of what is happening. We are doing very well with early warning systems. But in terms of adaptation, the challenge is the scale of the impact. You can plan to adapt to a certain level, you're anticipating impacts to be at a certain level, but then when you experience a situation like we had of drought, which is persistent, even your coping strategies, you find that they fail to respond to that. So yes, we are planning for adaptation, but also taking into account that the scale may be beyond what we can cope with.
Meanwhile, some delegates who are attending the NAP Expo are optimistic.
Attending this event is very important because we get to learn so many things, and we also get to learn good practices. We also get to learn about how are other countries working towards adaptation, towards mitigation. Can foresee learning about the good practices, and going back to my country, I hope to adapt this and to experiment whatever is being taught here, whatever is being discussed, and whatever is being learned here.
This expo is extremely important for us as a country because Pakistan is one of the 10 most climate vulnerable countries across the globe. I'm leading the National Adaptation Plan process for Pakistan. We have the NAP ready, and it works across 6 key vulnerable sectors. So this NAP Expo is a golden opportunity for me to be here and to interact with all other member states, their country representatives, and learn from the good practices, from the lessons learned, etc. Interact with colleagues. As you just noticed, we've had a very insightful opening remarks session. It was lovely to hear the minister, and I'm really, really keen to see case studies from Zambia itself on adaptation. Well, I'm really hoping that the Expo is, it is a perfect platform for countries to come together and to sort of exchange their learnings with one another. So we have, people, representatives from the government, from UN agencies, from the civil society, academia, a very rich set of stakeholders over here from different countries. So this is the perfect platform to learn from one another and to exchange our learnings, practices, etc.
The NAP Expo is being held from the 12th to the 15th of August, 2025. Mary Mwiikisa for Climate Check. Remember, you are on Climate Check, and we're coming to you from Mulungushi International Conference Center, the venue for the NAP Expo 2025. Now, away from the NAP, which is still ongoing, by the way, up to Friday, 15th August 2025. Now, this program is brought to you courtesy HIVOS Southern Africa with its consortium of CSOs and, of course, under the Strengthening Respect for Environmental Rights in Zambia, SR for ER. Now, HIVOS Southern Africa with its partners held a debate, facilitated a debate which happened between University of Lusaka, UNILUS, and the University of Zambia, UNZA. And these are the highlights of the debate, which was focused on environmental rights.
I would like to warmly welcome everyone to the Lusaka round of the Youth for Climate and Environmental Justice debate, which is proudly taking place right here at the University of Lusaka Leopards Hill campus. So my name is Ali Kaunda, and I have the honor of serving as your chairperson for today's session. Before I go any further, I would like to first of all introduce the panelists. So we will begin with the hosting institution, who are UNILUS. So we can just give a round of applause to the UNILUS team to take up this. So we have a panel of judges, and these are experts.
With funding from the European Union, the Strengthening Respect for Environmental Rights project is implemented by HIVOS in partnership with the Center for Environment Justice, the Zambia Institute of Environmental and the Zambia Institute of Environmental Management. This event has also been co-financed by the Voices for a Just Climate Action, VCA, with technical support from Transparency International. As part of its policy and advocacy strategy, the project works to engage and influence duty bearers, including government institutions and policymakers, to advance and enforce laws that uphold and protect environmental rights. To strengthen this process, the project trains community opinion leaders, including traditional authorities and environmental activists, equipping them with knowledge and tools to advocate for environmental justice. Through this particular debate series, for example, the Youth Voices for Climate and Environment Justice, a journey that began on the Copper Belt with 2 universities, the Voices for a Just Climate Action and the Strengthening Respect for Environmental Rights project are collaborating to elevate young voices and to push the agenda of environmental justice through university student engagement and related initiative. The series is an inter-university debate that is offering young people, students, to engage and discuss pressing environmental challenges, including pollution, mining, corruption, and Zambia's environmental regulatory framework, while promoting sustainable resource management. As project lead, as project manager, representing the consortium this morning, I want to say thank you to our debaters. These are students that have dedicated time to this discourse. I want to say thank you to the 2 universities for accepting to participate in this debate and for willing to submit your students to participate in this event. Our heartfelt gratitude goes to the University of Lusaka also for willing to host us.
I greet you all in the name of debate. May all protocols be highly observed. As the proposing government, we are strongly affirming today's motion that reads, Zambia has well-defined and strong environmental, regulatory, and legal framework. The key terminologies in today's motion are well-defined, strong environmental, regulatory, and legal framework. Allow me to define the key terminology.
We do not believe that Zambia has a well-defined and strong environmental, regulatory, and legal framework, and we say so for reasons that we are going to present. Firstly, let us set some parameters, because Prime Minister failed to give us parameters and give us an overview of what we're supposed to talk about.
We talk about hydropower. Despite the current crisis that Zambia is facing about water depleted, we still see that there's an abuse, misuse of water, philosophisation. Talk about the emission of the fossil fuels that is there. You would think that in a crisis like this, we'll try to transition energy, but a philosophisation, that has not happened.
And this is why, as young people, we should amplify our action, we should amplify our voices into strengthening environmental rights.
The runner-up was UNILUS. And the winners of the environmental justice debate were all Zambians and Rwandans.
We have come to the end of Climate Check for this week. Make a date with us next week, same time, same channel. But remember to stay on znbc television and be able to catch up on the updates from the NAP Expo 2025. My name is Mary Mwiikisa. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.